Hi, for those that have joining us a little bit early as we're getting our stuff situated. So, Grant, how's the baby?
She's awesome. Thank you.
Awesome.
Healthy, little chunkier.
Mom's getting a rest.
I wouldn't say there's a whole lot of rest going on, but
Right,
overall,
right.
good.
That's awesome. That's
Thank
awesome.
you. How's your family,
They're
Pete?
doing good, doing great.
Awesome.
Girls are doing good. They're much older now, but I remember when they were younger, and it was quite a handful.
Okay. So, probably a bit different from what you had. A little fun. It's all good. It's beautiful. Did you go to the farmer's market today?
I did. I was just there to talk a little bit about it. Just wonderful. Uh, Quite a few people are there, all doing the proper social distancing, and beautiful day for it, and just a wonderful opportunity for people to get nutritious food, and the farmers to sell their wares. So it's great to see. So Grant, I'd like to see maybe next week, as we're like kicking on a little bit earlier, if we could ask the members what song they want us to start playing before we start this thing,
Kind of like a warm up.
like a warm up,
Awesome.
like a warm up. What would be their a favorite song they like for us to start off with?
Yeah, get people fired up.
Yeah, was that Janice? Good morning, Janice. Morning, Katie. Saw Katie at the farmers market today, and the Rotary's doing a wonderful mass distribution. They're doing it at Pettibone and at the farmers market. So I can't thank the Rotary for that. Channel 3 was up at Pettibone for that. It was great to see.
I was gonna ask you, were you on the news this morning by any chance? I heard a little rumor you might have been on.
They asked me to say a few words, but it was just Rotary does just some wonderful things. Not only the mass, they do all sorts of great things for the town, like a lot of the nonprofits do.
Morning.
Hey Rachel, how are you? Good morning. Thanks for tuning in. You know what else is great, Grant? The 20th, they're allowing the barbers to be open, and I'm getting a haircut. Thank goodness. My daughters tell me they're going to cut my hair every day, and I get terrified. I know.
What about sustainability problem?
We're going to talk about that and how Ron Evans shaved his head, and then we have uh, a new forecast, or a new a new kind of outreach by Councilman Chris Cosgrove, where he's saying, you get $1,500 in a week's worth of donations to State Sustainability Fund. We're going to have Chief Squires shave his head. That'll be wonderful. Absolutely. Yeah. Appreciate him doing that. Absolutely. All right. All right. What else do we have? Hey, Lois. Morning. How are you today? Must be beautiful up there on Candlewood Lake, I bet. I bet it's gorgeous up there.
Francis is asking if we can increase the volume a little bit. And Katie, I'm sorry to
Sure.
sorry to let you know we're at the peak of audio. We had to do a little shifting this morning. We're using the built-in microphone, so we'll try to project as best we
So
can.
I'll try and be a little louder, Katie. Sorry about that. Morning, Rachel. How are you this morning? Okay, we're ready to go.
Yeah, let's go. It's 11
Good
o'clock.
morning, everybody. This is Mayor Pete. We're here today. We decided to do it, Grant and I, up at the E. Paul Martin Room. For those that don't know what this room is this is the basic community room for town government at Town Hall. We have the smaller one downstairs, which is the Loretta Brickley build room, and upstairs here's the E. Paul Martin Room. This is where we have our town council meetings, where you, the public, during regular times, pre-pandemic, would come and give public participation in person. Now we're doing this actually virtually. We had our last town council meeting, Grant, last Monday. And you can participate still by calling in and expressing your opinions to the town council. So I'd like to get going first with a few things. First, I'd like to wish those in service, those are serving currently in our armed forces, may you and your family have a blessed Armed Forces Day. Today is Armed Forces Day. The difference between Armed Forces Day and Memorial Day or Veterans Day is that Armed Forces Day is in recognition of those that are currently serving. So I'd like to thank those that are currently serving. God bless you. Thank you very much for your service to our great country. I'd also like to say we offer our condolences to Janet Vita and her family for the passing of Joe Vita. Joe Vita was a big community member here in New Milford, was in the band, served in the band, Boy Scouts, was involved with Park and Rec. He was our park ranger, did numerous things for the community, and we offer our condolences to the Vita family. Next, with the COVID-19 itself, the updates. I spoke with our health director, Mike Crespin, just a few minutes ago before I came on. And currently, and these numbers do change in the morning and in the afternoon. So these are kind of today's numbers so far. I will be giving updates via our social media pages later on in the afternoon. But currently in the state of Connecticut, and these are confirmed cases. So this isn't cases that are currently active. These are the ones that have been confirmed from the beginning of when they started counting the numbers till today. So the COVID state of Connecticut is 36,085. In Litchfield County, we're looking at hospitalizations. So they are currently at 14, and that's no change from yesterday. And the hospitalizations are very important because that's what Governor Lamont and his team look at as far as when they're looking at new phases and opening up additional opportunities for our communities. And hospitalization is really one of the most important components. So we're no change at 14 current hospitalizations for the entire county. New Milford, our numbers are at today at 243 confirmed cases. Yesterday was 239, so we're up 4 from yesterday. And this could be attributed to a few things in talking to Mike Crespin. One of them is we're doing more testing, and we're doing more testing in our nursing home community as well. So those are some of the numbers that are kind of pushing up our numbers. Mike believes we're still kind of flattening where we've been talking about prior, and we still need to maintain, our stay safe, stay home protocols to continue to flatten and try and bring down these confirmed numbers. There will be some increases, obviously, as we increase testing, but it's very important that we continue those practices. And as we all know, those practices are social distancing, 6 feet from one another. It's also washing your hands, which is one of the biggest components of this. 20 seconds under the spigot with as hot as water as you can possibly take, up to your wrists, uh, around your fingernails. And you can do that as many times as you possibly can during the day, which would be very, very helpful. Also, wearing a mask, especially when you're in the stores or in areas where you can't maintain your social distancing. These are very, very big components of the stay safe, stay home protocol. And what I've been talking about since we've been starting these virtual town hall meetings is also calling on your neighbor or a family member. If you could just do 10 of those a week, just to keep in touch, especially if it's someone that's elderly, because as we all know, COVID-19 for the elderly, especially those with underlying conditions, can be very dangerous. So the more we can check on, they really appreciate you doing that. If my mom is on on the on our virtual town hall today, hi mom, um, and it's very important that we continue to check on our elderly and our loved ones and our family members as well. It's very important. Also, just kind of to continue on some of the things that we have been talking about. Today is a beautiful day. Today, great day to get out and get a little exercise. Um, best thing to do is, walk on your road that you currently are on if you can. It's not a high volume road. If you are going to partake going to one of our parks, our town parks are currently for New Milford residents only, and that's for social distancing. And please keep your social distancing. If you do happen to go to one of our parks and are a New Milford resident and you see that there are a lot of people there, please don't try and go in and create additional um, um, population increases within the parks because we want to keep them as compliant as possible. You can drive to another park or you can wait a little bit later before you try to go back to the park. Our fields, our playgrounds, our skate park and basketball courts, tennis courts are still currently closed due to social distancing. And we're continuing to look at those particular opportunities each and every day. Myself, uh, Health Director Mike Crespin, and our EOC team, which is our Emergency Operations Command team as well. Speaking of our Emergency Operations Command team, we meet um, a minimum of 3 times a week, and we discuss things such as what our current numbers are, our current PPE, and that's personal protection equipment, where we are as far as um, how much we have with different things, whether it be masks, gowns, gloves, and our EOC team. Kevin Reynolds is our procurement officer, so to speak, on those, and he's done a wonderful job in getting that equipment for us here in town. We had posted, Grant did a wonderful job. We talked a little bit, and it's on my Facebook page, about one of the things that we're going to be doing, especially on May 20th, is the openings of offices, not only town hall, but other offices throughout town. Here, as town offices, we're going to continue to be locked down, so to speak. So you'd have to get into town hall or any of our town buildings via appointment only, but also the protective equipment. So each one of our employees has been given at least 2 N95 masks, and also if they need face shields or gowns or gloves if requested. We've had these in stock for quite some time. We want to make sure that our employees are safe. And also, if you, as a resident or someone that needs to conduct business in town hall, feel safe as well. We would require you to wear a mask also. If you do come in, we're going to ask you a few questions, such as have you been feeling sick? Have you left the state in the last 14 days? And as we all know, if you have left the state, even if it's not even to come into a town building, we do ask you to self quarantine for 14 days. That's another real important component. Also, what I do every week too on Fridays is we have our weekly coronavirus task force meeting. So that's a more expanded meeting, and that pertains not only to our EOC team, but our department heads. It's with also our nonprofits. It's with our first responders, our superintendent of schools. The list goes on and on. And what we do is we talk about how that's affecting COVID-19, their operations, and what we need to do as we look at not only challenges for today, but for challenges moving into the future, strategic challenges. Some of those strategic challenges that we're looking at right now, obviously, one of them is food sustainability. We targeted and looked at this knowing that this hard stop would affect our economy. And as we see in the jobless numbers that came out this past week, another over 3 million people actually applied for unemployment, which I believe now 36.5 million Americans now have applied for unemployment. And that's depression style um, numbers that we're looking at. So one of the things when we were planning, we looked at that and looked at food sustainability. And we've been very fortunate, especially in our food bank here in New Milford. And Carmela's covered that we have had wonderful nonprofits that have been giving. Also, our residents have been giving which is absolutely amazing, both food and with donations. And we can't thank you enough for that. And we also looked at victory gardens. And victory gardens are what they used to do in World War II. We're asking residents to do now, which is basically plant a garden in your yard, or you can do it in pots if you don't have a yard, and grow vegetables that are rich and dense in nutritious foods, and that would be a stock for you and your family. And if you have an abundance, to share with your neighbor, or if you have an even overwhelming abundance, to bring it down to to the food bank or Carmela's Cupboard, and to help the community. It's one of the important things that we're looking at. Also, we've established a sustainability fund, and I've asked Councilman Chris Cosgrove to lead the charge on that. And that sustainability fund, I cannot thank the residents who've already given to to the fund. I can't thank you enough for that. And we've been doing some fun things with that to raise funds. Ron Evans, who's a zoning commission member, had stated that, hey, if I can get $500 raised in funds within 24 hours, I'll have my head shaved. So he actually got double that. And he sent us a picture you can see on the mayor Facebook page or on the sustainability page, right, Grant? Perfect. You can see Ron's head who's shaved, and I can't thank you, Ron. And then Councilman Cosgrove, who I said is leading the charge, he's put out now a call. If he can get, what is it, Grant, $1,500, right, by Friday, that he'll shave his head. And the caveat to that too is we've asked Fire Chief for Waterwich, Rich Squires, to shave Councilman Cosgrove's head, and he said he'd do it. So that's going to be awesome. So that's kind of a wonderful thing, and that sustainability fund is going to be helpful in a lot of ways. One of the more important ones is for our first responders. So for those that don't know, our fire, our ambulance, those first responders are volunteers. They don't receive any money, salaries for the wonderful work that they do. So if in fact, if an unfortunate circumstance where they end up getting the COVID-19 and they have a family, and let's just suppose that the other member in the family is in emergency care as well, could be a nurse or a doctor, and they need to be self-contained for protection as well. So we want to make sure that there's some funds available that our first responder can have independent lodging if they so need. If this becomes a job-related issue where they can't go to work and they need groceries, we'd like to be able to help with that as well and provide whatever services they need because they're providing for us. So this fund, that's one of the major components. And we're going to go over different components each week. So that's the one we're going to go over this week for the sustainability fund. If you'd like to give to that, you could do it a couple of ways. First way is you could mail in a check, and you could do that to 10 Main Street, to the mayor's office and the sustainability fund. Second way is you can go on our website, right, Grant? And you can actually put in a debit or a credit card, and you can put in the memo for the sustainability fund. And then these funds are 100% federally tax deductible. And also, these funds, when they're going to be expended, will have to be approved by the town council itself as well. So we put in different areas of transparency so that you can feel comfortable when you do donate. You're going to know full well where these precious funds that you have that you kindly give to the town for this fund, so you can know. Also, a couple of other quick items as we're going through is May 20th is a big day. That's the day that Governor Lamont has his first executive orders kind of uh, expire and new ones come on. And one of them is the openings of different opportunities in the business community. And we call it some part of the reopening of New Milford. Some of them, to begin with, is the restaurants. They're going to be allowed to do outside dining starting the 20th. So the Economic Development Director, Karen Pollard, and myself held for the downtown businesses, held a virtual town hall to explain some of the things we're going to be doing uh, in uh, in uh, in the downtown area. We're going to be opening up Bank Street after 5 p.m. So that there could be some additional outside dining. We're going to be doing some more things on Railroad Street to allow for outside dining there as well. And I did that with an executive order. I'll be talking more about that as we come into the 20th. I think it's an exciting opportunity for our downtown businesses and for our residents and those that want to partake of our wonderful restaurants that we have in town. And it's not just downtown, it's throughout the town as well, whether it be up in Gaylordsville or Northville area or to the south um, by the Brookfield, New Milford border. We have wonderful restaurants throughout, and they'll all be available to do the outside dining if they so choose. So it's an exciting time, an exciting opportunity. Also, the availability for additional retail stores to do the same. So if they like to bring some of their wares outside, they'll be able to do that also with executive order. So it's a wonderful opportunity for our business community. So I'm very excited about that as well. Um, Also, a couple of other things as well. The town council a few weeks ago passed a tax deferral, not a forgiveness, but a deferral. So for your property taxes and your motor vehicle taxes that you would normally pay in July, you have until October 1st to pay those without any penalty. We do ask if you can afford to do that to pay when you normally do, but if you have circumstances due to COVID-19 where you don't have that ability, without a penalty, you could pay until October 1st. The caveat to that is after October 2nd, there is a penalty and it would be retroactive back until um, uh, July 1st. So with that, do we have any questions? Rand?
A couple good mornings. Start with Christine Daly at Theater Works is reading from Theater Works.
Thank you, Christine. Appreciate that. Good morning to you as well. I can't wait till we have the ability for Theater Works to wonderfully put on some plays for us. Um, Last year, you had some tremendous plays that were very entertaining, and I can't wait for that to happen. And good morning, and thank you. Morning, Vicky.
Judy.
Morning, Judy.
And then Judy has a question for you. She says, "Good morning. When are they opening nail, spa, and hair salons?"
So the hair salons, great question. The hair salons will be available to be open if they so choose on May 20th as well. That's another one of the parts of the openings that are going to happen on the 20th. So you might want to check with your salon to see if they are opening. In the beginning, they weren't allowing for blow drying, but Governor Lamont changed that order, so now they are allowing blow drying. There's certain guidelines and regulations that your salon that you go to will be adhering to. One is appointment only, certain number of people allowed within the salon. So you want to call ahead, make your appointment. But it's good to know that those are for those businesses that want to be open, the availability to do so is there. So that's good news. I'm excited. Grant and I were talking about this before we went live. I'm excited because I've already made my appointment for my haircut, as my daughters tell me I need a haircut pretty badly. So, absolutely.
Along with everybody else.
The-
I can't wait to see my barber too. This is rough. I actually shaved my head a couple weeks ago. It's crazy. But we've got Pat Erickson. She's going for the. She says, "Hey Pete, we're waiting to see what you're going to do to get the funds raised. I doubt you will shave your head."
You're 1000% right. I'm not going to shake my head. We're kind of coming up with something to raise funds, but I'm not going to shave my head. I thank Councilman Cosgrove and I thank Ron Evans. If we have some other people that are brave enough to do that, I appreciate that as well. But as of right now, I'm looking at another opportunity. Chris, how are you? Again, thank you very much for taking the role on the sustainability fund for your offer for fundraising to um, get your hair cut. Very, very close. So thank you.
Alan McDonald Psycho asked, what about dog licenses in June?
So currently, that will be by appointment only. You can call Noreen Pritchard, our town clerk, or the town clerk's office, and that's by appointment only. And you can call and set up your appointment and come in, and they'll either do it right outside or inside.
Marie Beacock asked, what are the rules for the town beach?
So right now, Marie, currently for Lendeming, is currently closed. And the reason why we closed that down is when we were doing our tours of our parks, we noticed a lot of activity, especially with our youth. Uh, when there are times pre-pandemic where we were appreciative of them on the playgrounds, skating, doing all these type of things. Uh, but in the COVID-19 era that we're in right now, there was just too much social gathering with the youth, so we shut down the park. Uh, we are on Memorial Day going to be opening up Lendeming for boaters and kayakers and canoers only. So we're beginning that out. There's going to be by appointment only to put your boat in the docks. Our docks have already been pre-sold. They've already been getting calls from our park and rec team who manage the park, and they'll have the availability to put their boats in their docks. And then after that will be the availability for those that want to launch, and they're going to have to do that by appointment only. Once we see how that goes, and if our numbers continue to stay steady, we may be able to do a few more things within Lendeming, but right now that's currently where we are as far as the park itself.
William O'Buckby is watching right now, and he says, I'll shave my head, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Billy, outstanding. So after Councilman Cosgrove, we already have our state representative Buckby with the challenge. Outstanding. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate that.
Came up with a new hashtag, New Milford Bald. So,
Yeah, outstanding. Outstanding. Thank you, Councilman.
Alice Gopher asked, can people pay their taxes in installment payments, like 1/3 at a time?
So for the new taxes, you have until October 1st to pay without a penalty. So if you wanted to make those payments in thirds prior to that, absolutely you could do that. If you wanted to do it outside of October 1st, so if you wanted to make payments, say one payment per quarter to do that, the balance or the difference from October 2nd on would have that 18% annum interest rate on it. And those portions would be retroed back to June 1st or July 1st, whatever that balance would be. My recommendation would be is if you can pay off all of it, if you can, prior to October 1st, that would be the best remedy. If you cannot, I would recommend as we're getting closer to October 1st to give Nancy McGavick, our tax collector, a call in the tax collector's office to see about opportunities and options available to you then.
Next question is from Merlin. He says, with 60 plus COVID cases in our nursing homes, is the town doing anything to help them?
Great question. So what we've been able to do is we've been able to give all of our nursing homes, because we do have multiple nursing homes here in New Milford, additional PPE equipment. I also know that State Representative Buckby and myself have delivered through anonymous donors additional PPE to our nursing home community and our VNA community as well. And the state has issued additional protocols for nursing homes as well. So there's a big emphasis and push on the state level to really help the nursing home community, because that seems to be where the numbers continually rise and where the deaths, unfortunately, uh, seem to be predisposed at.
Um, asks, would it be possible to pay taxes by credit card during this time and waive the process fee?
Oh, that's a great question. I'll have to ask our tax collector and our executive finance director, Greg Auspow, to see the ability to do that. What you can do is you can go to the banks that are Savings Bank of Danbury and Webster Bank, and you could pay your taxes there if you'd like, and there's no charge to do that. You also could do an ACH, which is electronically taken out of your bank account, and you could put that in the date that you so choose to do that rather than a credit card. Maybe you can make installment payments, breaking them out. And I believe there is a minimal, if any, fee for that service. So there's still some options available to you, but I will find out from our finance and tax collector.
Um, Diane from Village Center of the Arts is watching now, right next door to Town Hall. I don't have any more questions that have come through yet, but VCA's been doing quite a few things to help out the community through this time. So that's pretty cool. Thanks, Diane. They were giving out like craft kits that people could pick up and make, like they had crayons, papers, things like that. Very nice gesture for the town. Pretty neat.
That's outstanding, and I'd like to thank the VCA team. They do wonderful things, especially even pre COVID-19, with their workshops that they have for our youth. Their free homework. If you had some homework that needed to get done, they had places you could go to VCA and do your homework. If you wanted to add visual arts of art within your homework, they had programs for that. So they're doing a lot of things. And then in the summer, this past summer, they did some wonderful activities that I was able to partake in as well. They did the Kiddish, or I probably mispronounced it, the Kiddish game that they were doing up on the town green. So that was a wonderful thing they were doing for the youth in New Milford. So I think that's great. And thank you to the VCA for that.
I don't really have any new questions or comments right now, other than people are having some issues here, I guess, hearing us a little bit. We're using a built-in microphone right now, and unfortunately, it's a little lower.
I'll try to be a little louder.
Yeah.
And also, just as a reminder for our citizenry as we continue to go through the pandemic, it's extremely important that we continue to practice our stay safe, stay home protocols that have been put in place since we really began the lockdown on a statewide and a national level, which was basically, again, the 6 feet social distancing, the hand hygiene, uh, then also wearing a mask. And if you're wearing a mask and gloves and you're going to the store, please dispose of those when you get the chance in the proper manner. Please don't leave them in the carriage or on the ground. Someone else will have to pick them up and put them away. So it's important that we do that.
Okay. I do have a question from Robert Oram. He says, is there some place the community can help those businesses that only survive on group gatherings, like the Children's Movement Center, Martial Arts Studio, and gyms?
So great question. Some of these businesses, as you just said, are currently closed and don't have the opportunity to be open now. One of the things you can do is go on their websites. If they have the ability for gift cards, I would recommend purchasing gift cards there that you can use in a future use, and that will give them the cash flow needed to help them through the pandemic. And we are hoping, I'm on calls weekly with a governor call, and then also with our other mayors and elected officials within our area and region. We're on weekly calls with that as well. And the hope and process is we continue to flatten out the hospitalizations, that more things can open up. So we're hoping that that does happen, and that comes down from the governor's office and the State Department of Health. And I'd also like to thank our Director of Public Health, Mike Crespin, and his team, who've just been doing a phenomenal job. They have a lot on their plate, and I just can't thank Mike and his team enough for their continuing help through this pandemic.
We're kind of stalled at questions. We're a little stalled at questions and comments. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to ask or comment on?
Okay, so I hope you guys all enjoy your weekend. It's a beautiful day out here in New Milford. And as always, a quick shout out to our farmers market, who this is the second week. I was down there today. It's wonderful to see our community out enjoying and buying fresh produce, baked goods, hand soap, uh, all sorts of wonderful things, plants that are there. It's wonderful, all in a safe social distancing affair. And I can't thank our residents enough. And I look forward to our meeting next week again, our virtual town meeting. I will talk to you soon. God bless. New Milford proud and New Milford strong. Have a great weekend, everyone. And for those veterans, thank you. And remember to thank a vet when you get a chance. God bless.